Now, he found fame in pop band Years and Years and was last week announced by the BBC as Britain's entrant for the Eurovision Song Contest next year. But now singer Olly Alexander is at the heart of an anti-Semitism storm after it emerged that he signed a letter calling Israel an apartheid regime. The statement signed by Alexander was organised by the LGBT pressure group Voices for London and published in October, saying, "We are watching a genocide take place in real time and we cannot sit idly by while the Israeli government continues to wipe out entire Palestinian families. Current events are an escalation of the state of Israel's apartheid regime, which acts to ethnically cleanse the land." Well, the Tory party yesterday rounded on the BBC for selecting the pop star, accusing the corporation of either a massive oversight or sheer brass neck, with anti-Semitism campaigners calling for him to be replaced. So tonight, I ask, should the Beeb drop Olly Alexander from next year's Eurovision contest? Let me know your thoughts. gbviews@gbnews.com. Tweet me at GBNews. While you're there, take part in our poll, which is live now, and I'll get the results to you shortly. In a second, we're going to debate this with former Labour advisor Stella Chantakito and chair of the National Jewish Assembly, Gary Mon. But first, let me bring in former Mumford & Sons frontman Winston Marshall. Winston, thank you very much. Great to have you on the show. I don't think we've had the pleasure before. What do you make of this? Should the BBC drop Olly Alexander for his views on Israel?
Patrick, thanks for having me on the show. I'd like to start just by quickly reviewing the letter that Olly Alexander signed. It was on October 20th, not 2 weeks after the October 7th massacre. It really is worth reading. It's by a group called Voices for London, gay, LGBTQ, etc., group. And in the letter, they describe Israel committing genocide, apartheid, ethnic cleansing, etc. Now, if you were to sign, if you really believe this, you clearly do not understand what genocide means, what apartheid means, or what ethnic cleansing means. It suggests you have little to no understanding of Israel or Palestine, or if you're going to use words like apartheid, South Africa. It is an anti-Semitic letter that has been signed. It's anti-Semitic because it's explicitly anti-Zionist. To be anti-Zionist is to be against Jews having sovereignty, a sovereign nation. So that is anti-Semitic. Now, it is also quite a comical letter. I'll give you an example. It says criminalization of homosexuality in much of the world comes from colonialism. Now, they're right, but not in the way they think, because they managed in this letter to lambast the history of British Empire. But if they had read the Qur'an, which they clearly have not, they would realize, yes, the colonialization by Islam over the last 1400 years has been fundamental in making homosexuality illegal. But of course, the most obvious comical aspect of this letter is that it's an international queer solidarity with Palestine. They believe solidarity with Palestine is a queer issue. That's direct quotes, which of course is another example of cows for Mackie D's or chickens for KFC, as we've seen again and again and again. Now, to the question of Olly Alexander, who I think is a very talented musician and he's written some great, so we've certainly sung some great songs. Should he be representing Britain? Well, as someone who abhors what he's said and what this letter, and I also note, I've not seen any evidence that he wrote anything on October 7th, nothing, or October 8th. Despite abhorring what he said, I think absolutely we cannot cancel people. We cannot, just because we disagree with them, no matter how abhorrent their opinions are. I mean, perhaps if he was actually inciting violence, maybe then we could draw a line. But no, he is right to his opinion. And if Britain is it stands for anything, it's the liberal idea of freedom of speech. It's a very old British value that we must stand by, even when we abhor what we are hearing. So I think actually we stand by it. Whether I'll be supporting Britain, no, I'll probably support Israel in this particular this year. But we must not silence Olly Alexander.
Yeah, look, I'll just let you go there because I thought it was all gold and you've nicely encapsulated all the issues in one go. So, Winston, thank you very much. Great to have you on the show. Would love to have you back on at some point soon. It's the wonderful Winston Marshall there.